DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
And if it's not good, they're only going to probably put like hate grams in the chat. They're going to say bad things about us. They're going to probably send us little poopy bags that are on fire on our steps.
What else is new?
I mean, I guess that's what we call Wednesday mornings here after a DJ and TV show.
Right.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another Tuesday night with Brian S. Red and John Young. Tonight's topic was an interesting thing because we didn't really talk about this, and I really didn't talk about this much with the writers, but this month's paper is full of this topic we're going to be hitting on tonight.
Yeah.
It's just all of a sudden it's bringing its greatness or rearing its ugly head, however you want to look at it, to our topic for tonight.
All right.
So I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing.
I didn't write about it.
No, you didn't, but I think there's two articles.
Well, not in the paper.
Yeah, not yet. Wait till we get done.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's kind of kick it. We're going to be talking tonight about a lot of you who are struggling and doing. Brian, kind of tell us, give us the backstory. What your post that you put up this morning? What got you to that point?
I went to bed really early and I got up really early. And I was looking through some posts on my news feed, and I saw someone put something up about, what's with the hate of the sync button? And there was this barrage of answers to that question. And I answered it. I thought, well, I don't know. It's kind of stupid. I don't know what. If you think that, mastering the pitch control is what makes you amazing, then maybe you should be doing something else to become amazing, because
right.
I could teach my 76-year-old mother how to do this in a couple of hours. And I could. It's not hard. I was reading some of the other comments, though. Somebody had said something about, well, the sync button, I've been doing this since 1977, and now you just have to go out and buy the stuff at Guitar Center and you can do this. And I thought to myself, my gosh, is that your claim to fame, that you can write a pitch control? So I was thinking, what would be a good analogy for, just kind of adapting to things. And I chose to just make a post where I made movie theaters
example
comparison or example where, the movie theater started off as little Nickelodeons back in the early 1900s and storefronts, and they were silent films, and someone played the piano while the film was playing. Incidentally, my grandparents had one. Oh no, my great grandparents had a Nickelodeon for a very short time.
Sure.
It was just like a little storefront, and it was like the movie theater. You go in there and they'd show some stupid clip of whatever, and my great grandmother would play the piano while they play this clip, and I only had it for a few years. They didn't last very long. I think by about 1915 they were done because the movie theaters had gotten bigger, and in 1927 talkies got real popular with the jazz singer, so you had to add audio to that. And then in the 30s, color, they got more grand. People were dumping a lot of money into these things. Movies became a big thing. By the 50s, we had TV, so that might have hurt them a little bit, but they still managed. Just kind of went through the whole barrage of different things that happened within, the world of cinema.
Yeah.
And today, I can go upstairs and I can watch anything I want, pretty much, stream it through my 55-inch 4K TV and 5.1 surround. I get a bigger TV, but it wouldn't fit in the room. You've been in the room.
Yeah, I have. That's a pretty good sized TV.
So the biggest TV I can put in there.
Yeah.
And it's, I can see it fine, looks good, sounds good. I can relax. I can have a cigarette. I can eat my dinner. I can do whatever I want and enjoy a film. But movies still aren't dead because, as you know, and I showed you, there's a theater right down the street from me. It was built in 1929, but they've converted it to 4K. They've got a bistro in there. They've got a full bar in there. They do table service, big leather chairs to sit in. And a few miles away, they've built this, what they call a bistroplex. It's 8 screens that does this. And they offer heated leather recliners. So that's their thing. So you adapt. Was basically my point. And I wrapped it by saying, adapt, reinvent, or hang it up, but just please stop complaining about, kids screwing with your business because mom took them to Guitar Center. If you're doing the same thing that you did 10 years ago and it's not working out for you, maybe you should change what you do.
Yep.
And not look at these people as threats. And I didn't even write this in Word. I probably should have done some grammar corrections and some spelling checks. I'm terrible at spelling, as you know, as my editor. I can't spell. So yeah, I've got like 200 likes on this thing.
Yeah.
It's been shared. I couldn't believe the attention this post got. Lots of comments too. So, and some, kind of arguing, well, no, it's not like that because these DJs, and then some people are like, yeah, you're absolutely right. So that's the conversation.
And the interesting part is the number of people who will argue that, no, it's this and it's that and the other. And the reality of the situation is that change, that constant in our world is that change. And people will go and they will fight and they'll scream and they'll kick and they'll bite to not change, to hold on to yesterday. And as much as we'd love to do that, we're going to be pretty much unemployed and in some cases unemployable if we are holding on to that yesterday with such a grudge that we're hating everything and everyone in today.
Let me read you my favorite comment on my post. And this is from Scott Favor.
Yeah.
And he says, now that I have read most of the comments on this thread, let me just say to those who disagree, respectfully, you missed the point. Adapt or die. It's not that many in this business are struggling, it's that many are thriving. Want to stay in the DJ business? Then focus on those who succeed. And this is my favorite part. This last line is perfect. If the little thing goes away. Remember, if you argue for your limitations, you get to keep them. I thought that was pretty clever because that's kind of what a lot of these folks are doing.
Oh, for sure.
But my response, and oh crap, I should read my response because my response is kind of, it's real. This is what's really happening, I believe, with a lot of the people who are arguing this. It's all a learning curve. Some either just aren't ready to hear stuff or want to argue it out while they try to digest it. And I think that's very true as well.
Oh, for surely. I
think it's not a matter of I disagree with you. It's a matter of I'm processing this and it's making me angry. This is what's on my mind, and I call them the yeah buts. They eventually usually come around, but yeah.
Some do, some don't. And really what we had a couple of conversations this past weekend with a couple of different people who are struggling in their business. And I think the video that Drax and I did a week or two ago about why your business is tanking is probably starting to bring some of them out a little bit because no one wants to admit that because of their doing things like they did 10 years ago and not wanting to change and wanting to hold on to, doing their events with cassette tapes type of thing, they're not willing to admit that maybe the biggest problem with the stumbling block for their success, the biggest problem to that is themselves and their attitude. And that's they'll just but and they'll argue and they'll fight and it's everyone else's fault but theirs.
I want everyone to do well. I really genuinely want everyone to do well. I want everyone to have what they want out of this. And I love this business. I love being able to do what I do and getting paid for what I feel like I do well, where my aptitude lies. And there are a lot of folks out there where this is their thing. It's not like, oh, well, I could be a welder, but I'm doing this instead. No, this is who they are and what they do. But yeah, you need to kind of just pay attention. I mean, it's not enough, like in theater, the movie theater business. It's not enough just to show a film anymore. I mentioned this in one of the comments or replies or something. There are several multiplexes, like 20 plus screen theaters that I watched being built that are leveled to the ground and something else is on that spot now.
Yeah.
And I moved here in the 80s. I watched them build these things. I watched the ultra screens go up on these sites, you know, where they were showing films like The Matrix and things like that.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, oh my God, ultra screen. And they're gone. They've torn them down because they are now obsolete. Why are they obsolete? Well, there are probably a few different reasons for this. Maybe one reason is that we need, you know, they felt like they needed to attract the audience, a more elaborate theater, more comfortable seating, where you're not, you know, it's not like you're in coach seating at the on an airplane. That's no good. You have to fight for the armrest. That was the big thing in the old theaters. I remember that. Having your own armrest is a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, that sounds like a stupid, simple thing. They were trying to pack as many people as they could into the seats, but come to find out, people don't like to be packed into seats. So, you know, maybe we need to give them some room. Maybe we charge a little more, but we give them the comforts that they need.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not as many people go to the theaters to support 20 screens anymore, but let's make the 8 screens that we have perfect. Let's give them food. Let's give them, you know, alcohol if they want it at the table. Let's, you know, give them some real premium service. Let's make it an experience to go out and do this. Not just go sit, watch a movie like it's a chore, because you can do this, you know, much more comfortably in your living room. Let's make it a real experience. They got it. Now there are other theaters that didn't. Other theaters just like, I can't compete. We got to close up. They didn't adapt. Maybe they couldn't for some reason. But in our case, I'm sorry, John.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think that they couldn't, and I think there are a lot of people that we talk to on a regular basis that just can't adapt.
I think it's easier for us than it is a movie theater.
I would agree. Yeah, just because
when you're talking, yeah, I mean, when you're talking about like my great grandparents, you know, the Nickelodeon that they had. Well, why did it go away? Because people were putting $1 million theaters up. They didn't have $1 million. They could barely afford the storefront they had this Nickelodeon in. So yeah, they had to go away. But with us, it's much easier to adapt. This isn't this huge leap. It's a small leap, and a lot of it, like you mentioned earlier, is attitude.
Mm-hmm. Really, the biggest hurdle of why people don't adapt, and I guess maybe I see more DJs and talk to more DJs who don't adapt, and they're some of the same ones are reaching out to you and talking to you, and the biggest reason why they don't adapt or can't is between their ears. And it's their mentality and their attitude. And that's the part that just completely is foreign to me, that negativity that just drives them and eats their soul. And because of that, they become this angry, bitter person, and then it starts to spill over into different aspects of their life. And when they're at a gig and they're grumpy with the venue, and the venue manager sees this, and the guests see this, and all these different things, it becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy that basically everything's going to hell in a handbasket, and my attitude is crappy, so that just gives more negativity, and all of a sudden there's more negative things going on in my life because they just haven't gotten the attitude that they're in control. And that's one of the most difficult things as I've been talking to, you know, I've got a few guys that I've talked to that I've been kind of doing some coaching with them. And it's just talking about that you're in control of your destiny. It doesn't matter what the heck this guy's charging or what that guy's charging. You've got to figure out what's right for you. And you've got to just go out and be you and do you in a way that people will pay for. There's the key. You can't just do you. I mean, right. Jimmy and I've had the conversation. Jimmy would love to just go spin, 80s retro, dance music freestyle all night long. That's what Jimmy would do. The problem is nobody would really pay for that. So he has to adapt. But, he could say, well, no, I'm only going to do this. And why these damn customers won't they? And he could become that person. But Jimmy, knowing he's a smart enough man to adapt and do what he needs to do and be successful at when he goes to events and such, because he has that. But so many people will argue for their limitations. It's just as astounding to me.
I like the way Scott put that. That's so interesting. I thought that was brilliant. And I'm looking at the comment section here, and I'm seeing things about space as far as hard drive space. I saw somebody said something about DMX. That's a limitation on that. You know what? Forget all that.
Mm-hmm.
Forget all that. Look, you can only play 60 tracks at an event, usually 60, 70 tracks, and you've played as many as you can in like a 6-hour event. That's all you can do. So how much music do you really need?
And it's really not the yes, it's the music, but it's not the music. I mean, people hire the referrals when people are coming up. If they see someone who's happy to be there, who's enjoying themselves, having a good time, is competent at what they do, 9 chances out of 10, that's going to get you. If there's a referral to be had, that's going to get you there. How many people refer DJs not knowing their price range at all? But basically, it was like, oh, this guy looks kind of friendly, and he's playing some good music. It's the basics. And just again looking like you're happy to be there. I've seen pictures of DJs who are up there and they're doing their thing, and sometimes they look like they're just so stressed out and they're like, and it's like, well, no wonder why you're complaining that your referrals suck. It's because you look like you're just in pain being up there. It's like, get the corn cob out of your hiney and smile once in a while.
I've been pretty public about this. Some people have said, hey, we don't see the gig logs we used to see. I'm like, well, no, you don't. There's a reason for that. I'm not gigging as much. And when I first say that, a lot of people say to themselves, oh, well, so times are hard. No, this is by choice. I can gig as much as I want to gig. If I want to gig 6 nights a week, believe me, I'm going to gig six nights a week. I can get that kind of work. That's not a problem. The problem initially, quite frankly, it had to do with my health and happiness. Because the last few years, I've just taken everything that came along and I've sold the hell out of it, and I've beat my brains out to make these people happy. And are they really happy? I don't know. Were we a really good match? Probably not. But it was a gig and I got it because I was chasing that dollar.
Yeah.
This year it was like, you know what? I'm not doing it. I am not going to do it. I'm not going to take these blind gigs. I'm going to work with people who want to work with me. That's it. And I'm not going to work with as many people, but that's okay. I'm going to charge what I'm worth, I feel like in this market, which is fair. So just because I'm working less doesn't mean I'm making less. What it means is that, I got a wedding coming up this Saturday. Now, typically, like last year, for example, if I had a wedding coming up Saturday, I'd be stressing out about it on this broadcast. And as soon as this broadcast was over, I'd be diving into this and doing all this crap. I'm not doing that. I'm not worried about it. We've talked. We get along fine. I kind of know what they want to do. I haven't, completely sealed everything up, but I'm damn close enough where I'm not worried about it. And these gentlemen who are getting married are just like, hey, man, thank you for everything. We trust you. Thank you so much for your input. This was a great idea. This is what we want to do. Thank you for suggesting that. And yeah, you got this. My God, how much different is that than freaking out and just, oh my gosh. And most of the time, it's not even anything to freak out about. Most of the time, it's just that they're freaking out, and I feed off of that.
Oh yeah.
Because that's contagious. Negativity is contagious. And when you're dealing with a client and they start second guessing you, you start second guessing yourself. There's no reason for it, but you do. Well, maybe I don't know what I'm doing. It's like being in an abusive relationship, basically, every week.
To a point. That's a good way to describe it.
I'm not married, so there's a reason for that. They are the reason for that. I don't want to deal with anything like that ever. So, wow, this is so nice just to do less. And I had a client call me last week. Wasn't a client when they called me, but they called and they said, hey, I'm getting married. It's my second marriage. I'm in my 50s. I was trying to think who the heck would know a good DJ. And I just remembered that my hairdresser is getting married like the week before me or the week after me. And I said, well, who's your DJ? So I got a great guy. Call him. So are you available? Yes. Cool. What's this going to cost me? Scope of work. This is what I want. This, and this. Okay. Well, that'll cost you this. Thank you. We'll see you then. Done.
Yeah.
Dude, this is the way, this is what makes me happy. I'm working with people who want to work with me. They trust me. I don't have to sell myself to them. I don't have to prove anything. I'm a professional, man. I've been doing this since I was 13 years old, man. Come on, give me a little credit. And these folks are, and I love it. And the stress is gone. I'm so happy.
Yeah.
I'm so happy. I don't know where I was going with that. Just a rant.
Well, no, you were talking with the reduced workload and such because they're not that many gig logs and such, and And I think that's part of the evolution that we go through, because I've been in the same boat. I mean, I used to do an awful lot, and over the years I've kind of backed up because of the children getting older and doing different things. And secondly is that it's a lot of work. The stress side of it, Joe just asked about what was stressful. I'll get to that in just a second.
Yeah.
But taking that time away, I find as we go forward that my time is more valuable to me now, I feel, than it was probably 10 years ago. It should have had the same value then as it does now. But in my head, my time, and especially a Saturday, is much more valuable to me. So if I'm going to go out, it's going to be for situations where people are trusting me, that they basically are coming in and saying, hey, John, come in and do what you do best. And that, yes, that means that I can do other things if I wanted to. But there's that stress thing. When I'm doing the high-end wedding where I'm doing, the 4 video projectors, and we're doing live camera feeds, we're doing a photo booth on the side, and we're doing custom introductions with cameras and lighting, and I've got to go and do the voiceover, and we've got the song beds under that, and we have the video.
That's not a twice a week thing.
and you do all of this stuff, and it's like, there's a lot of it's a cool when you can put it all together and it runs and it flies and everything works beautifully. It's a really, really cool thing. But the build-up, the time away from my other tasks and my family to put this together, it's just not worth it. I mean, yes, I had a couple of them last year, and they were paying, I think one was $3,500, one was $4,000 for the day. When I got done with it, that $4,000 check per hour rate was lower than the wedding I did here July 8th or 9th, whatever was Saturday night, where I charged them $1,000 to come in and play for a few hours.
Yeah.
And the stress level, much lower. I walk in and it's like, hey, yay, rah, rah, let's go. And they danced and partied, and we were done by 10:30, and I was home by 11. It's like, yay.
I think it's interesting that you bring that up. I was thinking about, I wrote my article this month about the DJs listening the rehearsal. Mm-hmm. And when I first heard this concept, probably, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, somebody says, are you coming to my rehearsal? And the answer was, no, I'm not coming to your rehearsal. Are you kidding? I got a wedding Friday night. So now it's like I think about it, and it's like, well, I don't know. If I need to be there, if there's a reason for me to be there, great. I've been to rehearsals where it's been beneficial to both myself and the client, and I've learned so much, and I've been able to do things in a different way because of attending the rehearsal.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, when you think about it, these are the types of things that people are starting to ask for. What's that noise?
That's rain.
Holy crap.
Yeah,
that is crazy rain.
You're hearing the office building that we have the studio in is a 36 by 48 pole shed. And it's insulated, and it's all sheetrock, and it's all finished in here. But that rain is coming down so hard on that steel roof. That's what you're hearing.
That's great. I love it. Now, where I'm going with this, though, is that, we've talked about this before. In the old days, I would come in during dinner to set up and play for 4 hours. Mm-hmm. And I would do a first dance, garter bouquet toss, maybe a father-daughter dance, and that was the, I guess, the scope of the services that we offered.
Yeah.
Occasionally, we'd come in and play dinner music, which was just throwaway. You just play stuff. You weren't doing grand entrances and stuff like that. You were just playing dinner music. And the toast, you had nothing to do with it. I'll turn the music down while you do the toast. Now they want your microphone. Okay, we'll do that. Now they want you to actually perform for the ceremony and play these songs and do custom mixes and almost act as a consultant for the ceremony. I mean, that's what I'm doing. I'm not just going and doing it. I'm suggesting things, and they're asking me questions, and I'm helping out. So yeah, sure, fine. Now we want to do rehearsal too. This is what it's come down to. It's grown from this one thing to this big thing. And do I like it? Well, it's an interesting question. I don't mind it if I don't have to do it every week. If I have to do it every week, I don't like it. Yeah. If I have to do it once or twice a month, I'm pretty okay with that. But the job has evolved.
Yeah, it really has.
Obviously evolved. My uncle was a firefighter. He passed away a year ago next week. But he never said he was a firefighter. He was a fireman, because he joined the force in like 1980, or the department rather, and he loved it. He loved being a fireman. He loved jumping. He was crazy too. He was on the cover of the New York Times several times for being that crazy guy jumping into burning buildings and being on a roof with a kid. And he was always on like, the human interest story in the newspapers way back in the old days. We got a lot of clippings of him. He worked the Indy 500 in the pits. And if you're a race car fan, if you watch racing, there was a year where a firefighter got hit by a car. That was Uncle Dave. And that made that was on CNN. That was everywhere. That was Uncle Dave. So he was a character. He was a great guy. But, the last 15 years of Uncle Dave's career, boy, he wasn't enjoying himself because the job went from firefighter to EMT and first responder.
Ah.
And that was something that he didn't sign up for. I mean, he wasn't comfortable with that. He did it, but he wasn't happy. He wasn't comfortable with it. That's not what he had signed up for. I'll run into a burning building. I'll pull kids out. I'll be the hero. But I don't really want to be an EMT.
Mm-hmm.
One of the, and I don't mean to talk about depressing things, but he would have these elderly people who passed away in their 90s or whatever, and he was required to give them CPR, and they weren't coming back, and he was hurting them. He was breaking bones and things trying to do this, and he hated that. That was something that he couldn't stand. The other thing that he didn't do well with was computers. That was never the thing that he was good at. And of course, the department went computerized, and he had to do this and that on the computer, and he didn't do it very well. So it became a stressful situation for him. And basically, what he was doing was not what he signed up to do in the first place. And he had to retire early because of it. But I think maybe the DJs might be there too. I mean, not at that extreme, but we signed up for one thing, but now we're required or expected to perform this other service because it's part of the deal. And a lot of us don't like it. I don't particularly love it, but what I can do are one of a few things. I can either figure it out and do it, and do it with maybe less gigs on the books, but I'm focused on the gigs that I do have, or I can say, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore. Those are my choices, I think. I have to adapt or die.
Yeah.
That's it. So I've adapted. And at first it was the adaptation where I was doing all this extra work, but I wasn't taking a smaller workload. Mm-hmm. And that was killing me.
Oh yeah.
That one, even post-stroke, I was doing this. And it was just like, I can't do this anymore. But then I got to thinking, I was like, nobody could do this. Nobody could do this. It's not because I'm disabled or whatever. It's because it's hard. And because maybe I'm biting off more than I need to. If I bit off a smaller piece, I could probably chew it very well, swallow it and digest it, no problem. So.
One area I think that some again, as we're talking to the different DJs who are struggling with things, is that you meant the adapt or die, and I think there's a lot of guys out there who are dead. They didn't adapt, and their business has died, but they just, for some reason, the DJ themselves don't know it yet. Mm-hmm. And I talking to a guy the other day, and he was going on about how tough things were, and it's like, well, how many shows do you have on the books? Well, I technically don't have a show on the books anymore, but I'm trying to get trying to start over again and have a good 2018. Okay, great. How many shows did you do in 2017? Well, I did 2 so far. Okay, you've done 2 shows, and right now 2 shows could be potentially over 2 years. What makes you think you're in business? It was one of the guys who was talking about dang, Sam's Club is selling speakers. Yeah, the other day when we were in there, we saw some Ion speakers. So he must have saw a version of that, and they're selling speakers. So these kids are gonna go buy it. There's ways to adapt. There's ways to improve your performance or find what type of performance you do that. The ways to reach the new clients is different than it was. How you engage and work with them and share information and do things, is all these little aspects have changed so much from the days when we used to put a stamp on an envelope. We had this piece of paper that was folded up kind of funny, and that was an envelope. We'd put contracts in there and planners, and we'd mail them, hand it to this person who came to our door, and they would take it to the other person's door. It was incredible how this all worked back in the day.
For 33 cents.
Yeah, exactly. But times have changed, and that those things, while still applicable in some situations, it's not what today's market is. You'll have more situations where Brian just described a bit ago. The guy calls up, hey, are you good? Yep. And what's how much? Great, I'll do it. Wonderful. Let's send an email basically back and forth, and we'll get a digital trail going. And once you have it, you're done. There's your contract. Yeah. And I had an event the other day. They called up, and it's a kind of semi-last minute wedding here about a month out. They're like, are you available? Yep, great. Let's do it. And will you accept? Will you accept payment? And she did she sent over, PayPal'd all the money right over to my account. And I know the family, it's not one of those foreign ones. And, we're done, basically. We're good to go. It's a backyard. They're having a wedding, but they're not doing anything wedding-esque. It's me showing up and playing for 4 hours, and I'm out of there by 10 o'clock. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Works well.
Yeah.
And if I wanted to go and be, I won't do that type of show because I want to do this introduction and I want to have my cool video introduction, and your first dance has to be this video thing that I create, and then I have to do this and do that. If I would be stuck on what was making me money 6-7 years ago and insisting on still doing that, there's about 5 weddings I've done this year so far that I wouldn't have done any of them because that crowd is not in this particular area. They're not into that right now. So we adapt to what they want to do.
I want to jump into the comment section for just a moment.
Yeah.
There was a question that's a little off topic. I brought it up, but they are asking me, do I charge for rehearsals when I attend rehearsals?
Yep.
The answer is absolutely yes. You have to. You have to charge for rehearsals. You have to charge for everything that you do. You can't just do things for free. How much do you charge for these? You've got to figure that one out yourself. Here's the way I suggested in the article that I wrote this month that I feel like you should look at a rehearsal, especially if you're doing like a Saturday wedding and the rehearsal's on a Friday. It's almost like another gig because it's taking your time. It's taking a prime date away from you to do anything else. So if you're going to be attending someone's rehearsal, there's no way that you could be doing somebody else's wedding that day too.
Right.
The times would really have to be perfect for this to happen. It'd be a lot of hassle. So you need to look at it like another gig. And what you charge for your gigs is up to you. And then there's a scope of work thing. There's always a scope of work with me. I'm not a flat rate guy. There's a scope of work with everything. What is involved with this? So what do you need me to provide for you? Am I there as a consultant? Am I there to observe? Am I there to do almost like a dress rehearsal with PA and microphones? What is my purpose here? What am I putting into this? And those are all the questions you need to ask yourself and perhaps think about before you quote any prices to anybody. Just my 2 cents on that. There's travel charge. There could be gear rental charges.
Yeah.
You can go up with a boombox and an iPad. You could do that too, and just kind of go through it with minimal stuff. Maybe they want to see everything, placement, sound checks, everything else. It depends. But that's how I would look at it, as a separate gig because it's taking prime real estate away from your calendar.
See, and that's I agree that it's taking the prime real estate. The thing that we're seeing in our particular area, and again, we're slightly more rural than what you are, is we don't see Friday weddings. They're a rarity now. And a lot of venues that used to do 2 Friday weddings and 3 Saturday weddings are now seeing 2 Saturday weddings, and that's their week. So what they're trying to fill the Fridays with, you mentioned the rehearsal and groom's dinner, they're really making a push that, okay, we want your groom's dinner here the night before, so that they're trying to adapt and bring business in. I remember when I was a house DJ at the Holiday Inn, which is one of the places I can do the 3 weddings a weekend, they would discourage people from doing their groom's dinner there because they had 2 weddings on Friday night, the night before their Saturday weddings. And they're like, we don't have the staff to go and set up a room for 25 or 30 people and to serve it. Plus these 2 weddings going on at the same time.
Well, there's 2 things that I'll say to that. It's not the case here. There's a venue that Hot Water Warehouse. We've talked about it. We do videos there. I kind of showed you the neighborhood it was in. Salsa Saturday is their big night. They do crazy business on Saturday nights and make a lot of money. They could just do salsa Saturdays and maintain.
Wow.
That's all they'd have to do. But they offer weddings. They usually have their wedding hall booked Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. People are booking it for weddings on those
So you
days.
mentioned in Salsa Saturday, are the weddings that they're doing, are they really catering towards more of a Latino population there?
Absolutely not. It's just a cool venue.
Just-
Salsa. I mean, Paul is is he's French. I mean, of French descent. His grandparents came over from France or whatever. So he's just a white dude like me. Salsa happened by accident. It was just something that happened and he went with because someone at his church was looking for a rehearsal space for a salsa group. And he said, well, I have a teak dance floor in the bar I just built that no one goes to. So why don't you come and rehearse there? So it became the place to come into salsa. Just by accident, he became the salsa club. He built a place and had no real idea of what was supposed to be happening there. And it just organically became salsa. So that's the spot that you go for salsa. You don't go there for cumbia because they're not playing it. You go there for salsa, merengue, bachata. That's what you go there for. So it's a Caribbean thing. And he's got it dialed. He's been doing this for well over 10 years. No one has a club like that. No one has a Latino nightclub or Latino themed club in my city for any more than like 3 years.
Yeah.
He's been doing this. Oh my gosh. When did he start the Salsa Saturday? It's probably in like 2004.
Oh,
He's
wow.
been in for a long time and it's still going strong. He just keeps expanding. But yeah, he makes really, really, really good dough doing these weddings on the off days too. Because he's tried other things. Well, let's do like Disco Fridays or, nothing works. It's the salsa just clicks. Nothing else works. And he doesn't want to do it 2 nights in a row. He wants to do other things. And he's like an artist guy and he supports theaters and he has all kinds of different troops come in. They do, sometimes there's drag shows there and just weird stuff, There's fashion shows there. You name it. They do Zumba in there sometimes. There's always something weird going on in Hotwire Warehouse because Paul, is a supporter of the arts and lets people use the space and
it's
does well with
it's a cool space, yeah.
Yeah, it's a great space and and he's just the most unassuming club owner you'd ever meet. He's a nice guy. Most people who own clubs are just sleazeball assholes. I mean, I'm sorry, but they are. Paul's just a cool guy who happens to own a nightclub. A sweet guy, just the nicest guy you'd ever want to meet. And he owns I think the biggest club in town right now. I don't think there's a bigger club than Paul's club right now.
Wow.
So yeah, kind of cool. But anyhow, yeah, they do well with that wedding thing. The other thing I'll mention is that when you're talking about, Friday events, it doesn't have to be a wedding. It could be a club gig. It could be a bar gig. I mean, even if you figure, okay, I could work at a bar for $200 on a Friday night, which might be low, might be high, depending on where you live. You should, this wedding rehearsal is going to get in your way of that earning potential.
For sure.
I could go out and I can make $175 7 nights a week as a DJ at bars, maybe 200. It doesn't matter what day it is. I could go out and I can make this money. I can't do it if I'm doing somebody's rehearsal. So there's value on it. If I'm leaving the house, it's worth on a Friday night before I have to go gig. Yeah, you got to pay me for this. You can't do it for free. If you do, you're just not only losing out on other potential revenue, but you're working harder. Charges people for everything. So I hope I answered that question.
Yeah, just checking the different chat rooms and such over on.
They're talking about something else.
Yeah, and I've got the Facebook feed also here. I was just looking at that. So yeah, I think the big thing when it comes to the whole adapt or die concept is that really you making that change a personal thing and really making that commitment to change instead of letting the world basically come crashing down on you, is to be a little proactive and instead of reactive and going out there and making the changes and finding, and like in our situation, we decided that we would rather do this on our terms and do the time and such that way rather than the other. We're saying basically, well, I guess I have all this time and I'm now broke. What am I going to do?
It's a learning curve.
Yeah.
It's such a learning curve. And you've got, on one hand, like we talked about, you have the yeah buts. That's what I call them. It's almost like a one word, the yeah buts.
Yeah, but
Yeah, but every time I go to the movies, there's nobody there. Movie theaters are dying. It's like, yeah, that's why Dunkirk made like $50 million last weekend because movie theaters are dying.
yeah.
That happened. No, come on. The movie theater you went to might be dying, or the movie you went to might have been a matinee where you're the only guy there. It happens. But no, they're not dying. They have to adapt to stay alive now. 20 screen multiplex where you got to share an armrest with somebody next to you is probably going to get torn down soon. If not, it's going to close down soon to be torn down, be converted to something else.
Yeah.
The other thing that I'll mention is something that I just completely forgot because I got brain damage. So
I want to talk a little bit about the music and the performance. We kind of started talking a little bit about the sync button and get off onto that a little bit when we first started. But I was just in one of the chat rooms, they were talking about people looking and sharing music, and that was such a huge no-no. And it just got me to thinking that there's another area in which people are like, oh my God, the DJs today can go steal a hard drive worth of music, or they can go and just download some music, or they can go and buy it off eBay for $50, a hard drive, and now they've got all their music. And I think this is another area in which, as performers, that whole concept of needing to adapt, because you and I were able to make a lot of money as a DJ early on because we owned music and it was scarce. Today, music, you don't have to own a darn thing. I just signed up for this stupid Spotify thing the other day just to try it out. If I have internet, why would I ever need to have more than 10 songs on my computer type of thing? Because everything's there. You type it in, oh my gosh, 45 gazillion songs, and that is a number. And the things are changing, and the technology is evolving, and that's going to change how we function and how we do our job. I just, as I'm watching people get all ticked off about the whole file sharing and different things, it's like you're arguing about something stupid that's really in the long run not going to matter. You don't waste that energy arguing about stupidity and being asinine with your things here, because that ship is, the whole music stealing and piracy thing, to a point that's sailed. It's gone. Now it's time to focus on what the new world is going to be like and what you can do to position yourself to be prepared to be successful in this new world. And I just, the yeah buts and the yesterday was so much better than today. We should go back to yesterday. These damn people are ruining it for us. It's just, it gets sad and depressing.
It's old. Yeah. And it's such a waste of my time I try to be as empathetic as I can, because it's all perspective. But after a while, it's like, just shut up. Just shut up. And then anything that you say to these folks, it's happening in the chat room right now. I saw some comments earlier. Anything you say to these folks, there's a yeah but on it. There's an argument about it. Mm-hmm. It's like you're defending your limitations.
Yeah.
Like Scott said, if you're going to defend your limitations, then that's what you're going to get, are limitations.
Yeah, DJ Alum there, we're talking about Spotify working with Virtual DJ. I was using it with the iPad with the DJ app. Yeah. And it's like, oh my gosh, even just walking around outside with that streaming, I didn't have any glitches or anything. It's like, wow, this is really kind of cool. And now all of a sudden, instead of having 2,000 songs on my iPad that I can access, I have 45 bazillion quadrillion.
Howie loves the yeah buts. He's on board with that.
He does. He is a yeah butter himself. Butts. And Howie's got just a really tough attitude.
The guy is so positive. Him and Robin both are I think about the positive people in this business. Yeah. I just love them.
Yeah, for sure.
It helps to know that they're there. I don't know, man. I've been public about this in the past. I haven't brought it up in a while, but fact of the matter is, if your claim to fame was that you had mastered a pitch control, and that's all you had, and now anybody can just press a button and make this happen, then you're done. Quit.
Yeah,
it's over. If your claim to fame was that you had this song that nobody else had because you had a friend at the record store who put it behind the counter for you, but now anyone can download this song and have it, then quit. This is not the business for you anymore. If that was the only trick you had in your bag, you kind of sucked. Mm-hmm. And you just were lucky, and it's not like that anymore. So now we got to step up and bring in the people who really have talent, who really know what they're doing, can really program for these audience, and who have a positive attitude. Everybody else, quite frankly, just go away. If this is bothering you that much, just leave. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but I'm serious. If
Yeah.
that was your big thing, it's time to go. When I was doing this at a multi-op way back in the 80s, I remember there were people out there who got gigs from the multi-op because they had a vehicle to haul the equipment in, because they had a pickup truck or an Astro van.
Yeah.
If you drove around in a Mustang like I did, you weren't going to get that sweet gig because you couldn't haul the equipment. So they had no talent. They just had vans and cars to haul it in. But you know what? Now anybody can haul stuff in their cars. So having that car or that van, if that was their only trick to get work, then it's over. You can put a system in anything now. You can put a system in a Honda Civic. No problem. It can be done. The first system I built fit in a 78 two-door Cutlass. And people thought that was amazing that I built a system that fit in a car in 1994. Of course, I never had it in the car because I bought a truck afterward because I didn't want to go through the hassle of putting it in and out of the car. But I built it to fit that car. That was the whole point.
Yeah, exactly.
But I didn't have to buy a truck.
Yeah, once we had Bose speakers, that was one of the, or not Bose, bag end speakers, those little small cubes. Yeah. We bought those just because,
All I was doing was Sonic cabs. They fit in the back seat, barely, but they fit.
I remember that. Yep. Sonic had a set of those too.
But yeah, you're come on, these little trick up your sleeve folks out there who are getting beat down by 17-year-old kids with mom's credit card at Guitar Center and internet connection. You're done anyway.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but you are. Just go away and let's talk to folks who really want to step up their game and do something. I understand people get discouraged, and I totally get that. I get discouraged sometimes. And I got to think about positive folks and what people are doing that are going to uplift me to, to get a better attitude about things. I had a guy, I was going to mention this too, the guy who had mentioned that the movie theaters were dying. He was actually from the UK, and he was talking about how hard it is for DJs there, and it is, because that's a very saturated market over there. I've been there, I've seen what they're doing. It's tough. But then there's a guy by the name of Mark Vandenberg, and I've brought him up before. I know you don't know him, but Mark was pretty much a superstar DJ. He's been a club guy doing Ministry of Sound and the big gigs and all that for years and years and years. And I think from the last, I don't know, maybe 15 years, he's been in the music video distribution business. He was with, what was it service called? The big one over there. Anyway, the video service that they had in the UK. I don't remember the name of it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. The only thing I know is Promo Only is over there for a while.
No. This is
bigger
than Promo Only over there. It's not around anymore. It's gone now. The name just not Master. I don't know. Anyway, it was this huge video service, Mix Mash videos. That's what it was. It was everything. And they did them weekly. They did all these different series. He was the guy at Mix Mash, and then he started doing his own company, Extendamix, which you're seeing now. He's the guy at Extendamix in the UK. But I don't know, out of nowhere, maybe about, 5 years ago, he reached out to me and says, "Man, can you help me out with uplighting? I'm thinking about doing mobile stuff." I thought, wow, Mark's going to be a mobile DJ.
Sure.
That's pretty interesting. And he's like getting awards now for this, and he's getting all this recognition for doing weddings over there. He's like he's like the top guy. Why don't you guys look at what Mark's doing? I mean, don't copy Mark, but you know what? It's not all doom and gloom, because Mark walked in 5 years ago from Clubland. And I don't know if you know this or not, but it's a lot harder to go from club DJing to mobile DJing than it is going from mobile DJing to club DJing. They're just different worlds completely. And most people who try to go from club DJ to mobile DJ fall on their face because they're just not used to it. They're not used to that kind of interaction. They're not used to that kind of, I guess, a situation where the client's dictating to you what they want. Club guys kind of have an ego like that. They're going to play what they're going to play. Mark's done this successfully. Stop worrying about what you can't do and what the 50 quid SIDs are doing, and start worrying about what Mark Vandenberg is doing. Watch this guy and see what he's doing. Maybe you get a clue then. I don't know. It's not impossible.
It is, and it is that evolution and changing with the times. We've got a busy chat room tonight. Thank you guys for being with us this evening on both Facebook and YouTube.
So really, John, if you think about it, what are we talking about here? Are we talking about equipment? Are we talking about just technology? Are we talking about management, or are we talking about performance when we're talking about stepping up the game? Well, what do you think?
I think it's really got to be in all areas. I mean, when it comes to the performance and things, I mean, that has changed. It used to be very acceptable for us to fade out and fade in, and if there was a half a second of dead air, that was life. And at a mobile event, people would be, that was acceptable. I don't. I'm working with crowds and such that now understand that is not the way it happens anymore. When I have variety bands playing around the area, they go from one song to the next. There's no stopping. I mean, it's like they're trying to do a version of beat mixing, because that has evolved. That has changed. Right. Now you get to a band. We were watching a country band the other day, and they played their song, and they finished up, and then there was like, and then they stopped, and you could see that the people were like, "Huh, what?" It used to be you always did that so that the people could clap between songs and, "Oh, thank you for the dance. You danced divinely. Why, you do too. Now let's go over and have a quick little beverage before the next." That was the way it was. Not anymore. You don't do that, and you can see there's been an evolution and change. The bands that people aren't enjoying that as much. They're not engaging that. Business-wise, management-wise, there's just so many changes in marketing of our businesses and how we reach out to people and how we have to watch our image online is just so different than it was even 5 years ago. 5 years ago, we wouldn't have even thought about doing videos like this and thinking, "Ooh, well, this video, if I'm going to say something, will it cost me gigs, cost me events?" I didn't think about that. Maybe 2000 prior to 2010, it just wasn't on the radar. Nowadays, when we do these things, there's a part of in my head that you just have to realize that I do have brides that have seen some of the shows. Yeah. And that's a good thing and a bad thing, I suppose. Well, that's not a bad thing, but it just is a thing. That's the new world we live in.
Something to consider anyway.
Yeah. So it's like you've got to understand that I can't be talking in this form like I would be if I'm sitting in Brian's house and we're sitting there having a pop. We're going to be talking a little bit differently. Our language might be just a little bit saltier. We might be using "gosh darn it" already, instead of saying what we say here. Yeah. But it's an evolution. It's a changing, and I get back though that I think the really part that part that makes why when Lori was DJing and she was actually more popular as a DJ than I was. Technically and skill wise, I was way superior to her. As an MC, I was much better at the MC and the microphone work than she was. But she is a very, very likable person. And that alone, getting that likableness and getting that coming across led to her connecting with more people. And she still has people today that ask to have her perform. That's that world. If she was ahead of her time. If she would be going out and doing more DJ events today, because of that connection and people wanting to feel that connection more today, to refer you and to send you to friends and things, they refer people they like. They do business with people they like. They buy from people they like. This is all something that's part of this new world. People just don't want to give you their order. They want to buy from someone that they can look at and say, I like that person. I don't care if they don't do 75 different things, if they can't spin, standing on their head and they can't recite every word to Macarena backwards. Don't care. I like this person. They can do a decent job. Let's do it.
I think it's all attitude. Honestly, it's all attitude. If you've got the right attitude, then everything else is just going to fall into place for you. You've got to be positive, and you've got to be able to see some kind of good no matter what the outcome is, even if it's that you learned that you shouldn't do that anymore.
For sure.
Guys like Mauro Luna, guys like Howie, Robin, Jeffrey Kwan over Canal Sound and Light, oh boy, even Bobby Savreese, some of the guys over at Blizzard, a lot of folks at ADJ, just the positive people, man, in this business. They're the ones who are doing things. It's not the people who are complaining. The people who are complaining, I go to trade shows, you go to trade shows.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of these folks, who are running these companies, and there are guys who I see them and I'm like, oh no,
They're
I'm
just
just gonna have to
suck.
listen to this guy bitch
They're gonna suck the
for an
life out of
hour.
you.
And that's what he does every time I see this guy. I'm not gonna say who he is.
I know who
I
you're
know
talking
him
about.
well. I love the guy,
Mm-hmm.
but every time I see him, he bitches for an hour. That's all he does. There are other people, when I see him, I know that I really want to talk to him because they're gonna give me something great, and they're gonna tell me something they saw that they really liked, and they're gonna tell me something positive. Those are the people I want to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the people, and those are also the people who are doing things. Like, they're really doing things. They're successful. It's all attitude, man. I'm telling you, 100% attitude.
Very much
And
so.
and I think there's a fine line between attitude and arrogance.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be careful with that. I mean, I feel like I have a positive attitude. I hope I don't come off as arrogant. I hope I come off as not that. If I do, I apologize. It's not my intent at all. But I do have a degree of self-worth. I think I'm worthless or anything. Relatively humble about some of the things I do. Others not. But yeah, man, it's attitude, and it's not everyone's going to be able to pull this off. Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
but those of you who can see your way to just looking at the bright side of things, and seeing even the failures as learning experiences, and being that much closer to the success, that is so important. If you can do that, you're gonna win. You will win. Howie, my gosh, Howie takes concepts like the stupid mic drop thing, and he's like, I got an idea.
Yeah.
I'll sell a mic drop package. I'll put their name on it. Holy crap! He turned a bummer thing into a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
He's
for
making
sure.
money off of it, and the clients are happy, and they like the idea. That's positive, man. That's positive thinking. And that's positive attitude, and that's why Howie does well.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't because he bitches and moans. I've never heard Howie bitch and moan. Ever. Never, never, never. He's supportive. He's cool. He's got friends. That's the kind of guy you wanna try to emulate, and not the guy who complains or points the finger. Oh God, pointing the finger at somebody else. Oh my gosh, the worst guy. It's his fault. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's it.
There's a lot of folks who do that. You mentioned earlier, Brian, about moving from the club. Some guys struggle. Bayardo, DJ Bar here, is talking about that was a real struggle. Just a little thing on that is I had a friend who was moving from a radio DJ. He was a very successful night DJ, and when he first made that transition from the DJ that played basically, I think he went from like 9 to 3 or something like that, almost to the overnight shift. He went from that to all of a sudden going as a mobile because he lost his job, and he found out that he could come and do the mobile thing, and he was going to work with us. And the horror on his face, the first few shows he did, because he was used to doing his mixing and playing of his music with walls. And now all of a sudden he had a crowd in front of him, and he would have, like he's playing his music and ignoring the crowd, and all of a sudden someone comes up there and is like, yeah, DJ, woo, that kind of a thing. And he just was horrified. We saw a videotape because the very first show we happened to be videotaping that one also, and you could just see the, oh my God, it's just
Get away from me.
yeah. So there's definitely a big difference in jumping. He was one that did not adapt, and I think he did 2 or 3 shows, and that was the end of it. He's like, I can't do this. I don't want people looking at me when I'm spinning.
Yeah. Understood.
So if you guys
it's not for everybody.
yeah,
It's not.
if you guys haven't gotten a chance, go check out Bayardo's YouTube channel. He's got some great gig logs, and he's got some great videos out there. He does a wonderful job of that. Just a fantastic channel there, and I just love his energy and his passion. It's really, really kind of cool. So it's a good channel.
Is he from New Jersey?
I think he's out in that neck of the woods. I think DJ.
Yeah, I think I heard about this guy.
Yeah,
People would tell me about this.
Yeah, we
I
talked
haven't
a
looked at
little
him
bit.
yet, but I've heard.
We talked a little bit about how he's out there and doing some great stuff out there. So, and DJ Expo, yes, we will be at DJ Expo. The best day is probably going to be on Tuesday when the exhibit hall opens, because I believe Tuesday night, from what I've heard, there isn't a huge amount of things planned for Tuesday night, so it could be a good time to.
I got plans for Tuesday night.
Oh, really? What are you doing on Tuesday night? And you didn't invite
I'm
me.
gonna go eat some food with some
Oh, you didn't invite me.
Italian mobsters from New York who distribute Italian speakers in the U.S. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, bootlegging speakers. No, that's funny. Well, gang, it is 10 o'clock, and we've got to wrap things up. Thank you for being, Beardo's from New Jersey area. Wonderful. We'll get to see you guys at DJ Expo in 3 weeks from tonight. We'll be there, and Brian's going to be, negotiating with the mob, and the rest of us will be sitting back and waiting for the details.
Try not to get whacked. We'll see how it goes. The East Coast, anything can happen.
Yeah, it's
I love going out there. It's and I'll just, before we wrap the show, I just gotta get this out there. Every year it kind of just I forget just that I'm actually going to New Jersey. It's like, whatever, we're going to New Jersey, but it doesn't sink in until I get there and I hear that first guy start talking.
Yeah.
That guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's like 70 years old. He's in like dress shorts, no socks, Italian loafers, big old chain, shirt that should be worn by a guy who's 18, buttoned down to here, showing off that chest hair, designer sunglasses, and he says, forget about it. You're like, oh my God,
I'm here.
I'm back. I'm in Atlantic City. Here it is. This is awesome. I love being out there.
It's fun stuff, and pretty excited. Lori's going to be with this year. She hasn't been there for a number of years, so we're going out to have a good couple of days out there. Once again, thank you for watching. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, thank you for your time and being with us, and hopefully you guys had a good time with it. If you have any questions or thoughts, please reach out to us on Facebook or YouTube, either one, in the comment section. The live chats will go away here on YouTube, so don't put anything too much in that because we won't see it. But get a hold of us and such, or we will see you in about 3 weeks in Atlantic City. Everyone have a great evening. Good night now.